Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review of Doctor Who The Time Meddler, the final story from Season 2. And we're finally here, Season 2 is finished at last. It's taken me a bit of a while because I had a big break between the rescue and the Romans, most of December. That was unintentional, sorry about that. And then over the past week and past week I've been filling myself up with Season 2 from the Web Planet onwards. The rescue I saw at the end of December, and then from last week to this week I've been basically stuffing myself with Season 2 apart from over the weekend, but besides that, yeah. So let's get started. The Time Meddler is about the Doctor and his friends arriving in 10th century England. Well, actually it's 11th century, it's 1066. They've gained a new friend, Stephen. So it's the Doctor, Vicky and Stephen from The Chase, who is basically stowed aboard the TARDIS, and now they're letting him travel with him. He's sceptical at first, but eventually comes around to the idea of time travel. And in 1066 they encounter the meddling monk, who is another Time Lord, although we don't know it's the Time Lords at this point. We won't know that until 1969, and we won't know that they come from Gallifrey until very late 1973, very early 74. Those dates being the War Games and the Time Warrior, respectively. So we'll have to wait till season 6 and 11 to find that out. Those points out. But yes, the monk is another Time Lord. So we get to meet him, and he's planning to change history by preventing the Viking landing of Harold Hardrada. So Harold Godwinson, King of England, would not have to go up to fight him in Yorkshire. Then he doesn't have to go back down to Hastings to fight. Then he doesn't have to go back down towards Hastings to fight William of Normandy, aka William the Conqueror, and lose to him, so he becomes William I. So the monk is wanting to interfere, but the Doctor does not, as he does not like interfering with history. He knows the rules. Yeah, sometimes he places a little bit of trickery, but to inspire others, like in the Romans, but direct influence, changing in history. The first Doctor didn't really do that. He even warned Barbara about it. And alongside that, you've got some villagers, some side stuff with the villagers at some points. There is a bit in part 2, I believe, where there is a moment where the villagers kind of surround Vicky and Stephen and basically bring them to the village and like, "Ooh, we should kill them!" Just because. And then there's a kind of a mid-argument between one of the villagers saying that and the villagers saying, "No, they might be travellers! We should let them live." It's only by the grace of God and his wife that they are saved. Thank goodness that didn't last too long, because goodness gracious me, stuff like that's been done to death already, let alone to come in the show. And there's also a plot about some Vikings landing on the shores and eventually working their way up to the monastery and trying to take refuge there after a fight with the Saxon villagers, one of whom is also injured and at the monastery, and it's him who discovers the Vikings and warns his fellow men after he gets suspicious about the monk lighting beacon fires, which is what is part of his plan to draw the Vikings in so he can destroy them. So it is a pretty good plan, and despite some bits in the second and third episodes, like the villager stuff about whether they should kill or not Stephen and Vicky, it's a pretty great story. I do like how in that scene Stephen and Vicky basically stand up for themselves a bit, like crossly having a go at the villagers for what they're doing. It's about time. About time some of the companions stood up to some of these sodders. And the best bit about the story is the first Doctor's interactions with the monk. It is so fun, so playful, so enjoyable, and it's really great in episode 4 that Vicky and Stephen are able to have infiltrated the monk's TARDIS, and they're looking around, and then the Doctor brings the monk in, and he's basically explaining the situation from what the monk's told him, as well as his own knowledge. The monk then escapes, and then he tricks the Vikings into thinking he's on their side, and then leaves them to be killed by the Saxons, who think the monk is a Viking spy. By the way, there is a bit of 12 seconds cut from the surviving episodes due to overseas censorship, and due to the episode wipings, that version of episode 4 is the current only version that they had in the archives. Otherwise, they would have, if they had a full version of the episode, they would have released it, well, a full version by 2007, 2008. But as they didn't, so it can't. But they did include the audio and the script as a special feature on the DVD. So, missing 12 seconds basically shows the script, and if you can just about read it. And it tells us that the Vikings were basically stabbed to death by the Saxons. And you could get the audio just about. And that's a pretty dark ending. I can see why it was cut for censorship. It is pretty brutal by the sounds of it. I mean, it probably wasn't terribly brutal. It was probably done quite softly. It wouldn't have a direct jab. It would have been some spears jabbing into some dummies. And it probably would look fake and not too violent due to production values and the television mindset of the people at the time for a general Saturday tea time or family show. But it certainly in audio form, it does sound a bit nasty. So, maybe the censorships were onto something. On the other hand, if we were able to see it and it was how I described it, it probably would also be quite laughable. So that maybe is just a maybe. What is great is the Doctor and company basically sabotaging the monk's TARDIS to not be able to fly. It's not going anywhere. He's marooned in 1066. I'll teach him. I wonder if he can survive the Saxon villagers. We'll see him again in 1966, the Dalek Master Plan Parts 8 to 10, but yeah, we'll have to wait till then to see him again. Yeah, that's the Time Meddler. It's a lot of fun, enjoyable, has some good moments. I can't say it's perfect, but I do like it. I think it does meander a little bit in the bit. I don't think it does that as much as the Chase, and the Chase managed just to pass it a 10 out of 10. Just whilst this one, I don't think it quite gets to 10 out of 10, but it's certainly a really good, really enjoyable, really entertaining story, and it's got lots of great moments, and it's just a lot of fun for the most parts, and really enjoyable. And Peter Butterworth is great as the monk. So, I'm going to give the Time Meddler a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it's a very good way to end Season 2. It's much better than the Reign of Terror. And also, like the Reign of Terror, the titles, we start off with what looks like outer space and the stars, although this time they put the companions and Doctor's faces in during these star bits for some reason. I'm not sure why they decided to do that. I don't know, maybe it's to mark the end of the season. I'm not sure. It's probably Dennis Spooner's idea, as he wrote both of them. But, Season 3, the War Machines didn't do that, but Anyway, so that's the Time Meddler. So, I will be doing my Season 2 ranking soon, and then after that, we will be reviewing Doctor Who and the Daleks, the first of the 2 Dalek movies between Seasons 2 and 3. And then I'm going to do Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD between Seasons 3 and 4. And then after the 10th Planet, I'm going to take a quick break to do the documentary Dalek Mania, which is included on this DVD, and I might also do an adventure in space and time. So Dalek Mania to wrap up the Peter Cushing Dalek films, and Adventure in Space and Time to wrap up the William Hartnell era, and then we can move on to Patrick Troughton with the Power of the Daleks. So yeah, that's the plan at the moment. So next up is Doctor Who and the Daleks. And then the next Doctor Who story that will follow that will be Galaxy 4, which sadly is not complete, but Episode 3 exists on the Aztec Special Edition DVD, which is what I'm going to use for Episode 3, and I'm going to watch the reconstructions of the other 3 on Dailymotion, which is what I'm doing for the missing episodes. And we're going to be doing that quite a bit more. There's going to be a few more missing stories that won't have DVDs, or you're going to see the Lost in Time DVD instead, in some cases, so like Master Plan, for example. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm sorry, I don't know what that was. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Excuse me. Hello, ladies and... Excuse me. So, let's get started. The Time Meddler is about... Hang on. Before having to fight William the Conqueror in of Normandy. So that they do... So the monk is planning to change history, and the Doctor isn't having any of that, despite maybe him liking some of the ideas. No. So the monk wants to change history, but the Doctor, who does not like to interfere, certainly at this point in his timeline, so that is actually a pretty good plan, and the story does, despite some bits, and then we do the second one, Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, plus the documentary Dalek Mania. Well, actually, I'll do no, just Dalek Invasion of Earth, not Dalek Invasion. This DVD's a bit bent.